a young king, an army vast, a dream beyond the world. It begins at Granicus. On foreign soil, a spear strikes earth. Dust rises, soldiers roar. Destiny is claimed. Thebes rebels, but fire consumes its walls. Greece trembles before Alexander's unyielding resolve. With Greece subdued, he marches east. 40,000 men cross into Asia, chasing empire. Triumph shatters. In halls of joy, betrayal strikes, and a kingdom trembles in silence. From silence, Alexander rises. At 20, his gaze burns with the fire of conquest. At Chaeronea, Greece breaks. Macedonian spears shatter alliances, uniting the land by force. Thebes stands proud in tradition. Banners ripple, warriors march. Pride binds it to the past. From the northern mists, power rises. Cavalry gather, spears pierce the sky, a leader stands firm. Sparta marches in silence, broken by steel. Shields thunder, spears bristle. War is life. Greece awakens beneath the blazing sun. Daily toil hides the storms of destiny to come. Athens, beacon of wisdom. Marble temples shine, the agora alive with voices and power. Every empire has a beginning. For Alexander, it started at a river soon to be stained with blood. Spring, 334 BCE. 40,000 men crossed the Hellespont, leaving Europe behind, sailing toward Asia. Alexander steps onto Asian soil, drives his spear into the ground, and claims the land as his. Persian satraps rally horsemen. Armor gleams, banners rise, the Granicus chosen as their stand. The Granicus runs swift and deep. Across the far bank, Persian cavalry mass in thousands. On ridges above, Persian horns sound. Commanders steady their men as banners whip in the wind. Macedonian generals plead for caution.
Your life is too precious.
To charge the river under fire, they warn, is madness. Alexander rejects delay. Boldness will be his weapon, daylight his ally, and speed his shield. As the sun sinks low, silence spreads. Two armies stare across the water, breath held in suspense. Alexander mounts Bucephalus, his black stallion steady beneath him. Soldiers steel themselves for battle. A white-plumed helmet crowns him, shining like a beacon. Both friend and foe fix their gaze. He lowers his spear. Cavalry thunder behind him, hooves pounding as they charge into the river. Horses plunge into the torrent. Water sprays high, soldiers struggle forward, refusing to yield. Persian archers unleash volleys. Arrows hiss downward, piercing shields and splintering armor in the river. Midstream, cavalry collide. Spears shatter, horses scream. Men are dragged beneath the current. The river erupts in chaos. Blades clash, foam churns red, cries vanish under the roar of water. Alexander thrusts his spear, unhorses riders, and carves a path through the enemy melee. A heavy blow crashes on his helmet. Sparks burst, vision blurs. He reels back in peril. Cletus the Black intervenes. His blade flashes, turning aside the strike, saving his king. Alexander rises in fury, spear lifted. His men rally, roaring with unshaken resolve. From the shallows, the phalanx marches. Shields lock, spears bristle, pressing forward in strength. Persian cavalry falter, then break. Horses whirl in panic, retreat echoing across the slopes. Macedonians storm the bank. Banners rise against the setting sun as they seize the heights. By nightfall, Persian lines collapse. The river runs dark. Macedonian spears lift skyward in triumph. The Granicus was baptism by blood. Ahead lies Issus, where Alexander will face the King of Kings. Morning mist drifts across one side, the sea the other. A stage where two worlds prepare to clash. Persian ranks tighten. Shields rise, spears bristle, banners whip in cold air. An ocean of men waits for command. Macedonian infantry brace, shields locked, sarissas trembling like a forest, ready to pierce the storm. Horses stamp and snort. Riders lower spears. Dust swirls. Tension mounts before the charge erupts. Scythed chariots line the front, blades glinting like silver wings, built to slice through men like grass. Archers release a storm. Arrows blacken the sky, shadows of death falling across the valley. Shields splinter as volleys strike. Earth shakes, men stagger, dirt explodes beneath raining steel. Persian cavalry thunder down slopes. Dust clouds rising, their charge like thunder rolling across stone. Cavalry crash headlong. Spears shatter, horses rear. Macedonian shields hold under storming hooves. Overhead, the battlefield churns like a storm. Men trampled, formations break. Dust clouds consume the plain. Alexander's companion cavalry surge forward, wedge angled sharp, cutting through chaos like an iron arrow. Close combat ignites. Swords flash, sparks leap, dust and blood swirl into the fading light. The phalanx braces. Persian blades slam through shields. Fragments scatter. The wall bends but does not fall. Amid the carnage, Alexander's white-plumed helmet gleams, a beacon pulling men through the storm. Persian cavalry swirl, sabers flashing, desperate to break the Macedonian flank before collapse spreads. Sarissas pierce forward, skewering horsemen mid-charge. Cries drown beneath clashing steel and drums. Darius stands on his golden chariot, watching Alexander carve closer with relentless fury. Panic spreads. Soldiers stumble. Hooves trample. Chaos rips across the Persian ranks like fire.
Trampling us.
The golden chariot turns. Guards scatter. Darius flees. The great king abandons his throne. Persian lines collapse. Cavalry scatter. Infantry crushed. The battlefield dissolves into rout. Macedonian cavalry slice through fugitives. Dust storms rising. Pursuit relentless across the plain. Aftermath spreads across corpses. Broken chariots. Shattered shields lying silent beneath smoke. Captives move under guard. Solemn faces shadowed by defeat. Footsteps echoing in the silence of ruin. Mosaic memory. Darius reaching in despair. Alexander pressing forward through a sea of enemies. Fade to black. Issus was more than victory. It was the dawn of conquest. Persia trembling at its core. Tyre rises from the sea, its towering walls gleaming in sunlight. Warships clustered in the harbors like teeth of an untouchable fortress. Defenders line the ramparts, banners snapping in the salt wind, their pride as solid as the stone beneath their feet. On shore, Macedonian ranks gather, siege engines waiting, soldiers staring across the waves at the unreachable city in the sea. Alexander signals towards the horizon, engineers etching lines into the sand, conceiving an impossible bridge across the waters. Thousands labor together, hurling rocks and timber into the waves, their sweat mingling with the restless sea. Men haul massive blocks, oxen drag heavy carts, wheels creaking, while the causeway creeps slowly into the surf. From their lofty walls, Tyrians watch and laugh, mocking the strange defiance rising from the mainland. Warships surge from Tyre's harbors, oars flashing, arrows raining down on the men struggling against waves. Flames engulf siege towers, smoke blackens the sky. Workers scatter as timbers collapse into the water. Yet rebuilding begins again. New towers clad in wet hides rise stronger, advancing toward the island fortress. Catapults are armed, ropes straining, Crews prepare to unleash stones that will crash against the walls of Tyre. Boulders slam into stone ramparts. Fragments scatter. Dust and echoes ripple across the waters. The causeway stretches farther day by day. Storms batter it down, yet each time it is rebuilt stronger. Defenders gape in disbelief, land reaching towards their island, the impossible crawling to their gates. From above, the roadway looms vast, siege towers at its end casting shadows over the sea. Soldiers ready helmets and shields. Battering rams stand poised. The storm before the final assault builds. Catapults fire in thunderous unison. Rams slam with crushing rhythm, shaking the foundations of the fortress. Cracks spread through ancient stone. A thunderous collapse sends walls crumbling into the waves. Macedonians storm the breach, ladders rising, steel clashing, as defenders fight with desperate resolve. In narrow alleys, the battle rages. Sparks fly from clashing blades. Shouts echo through smoke-filled streets. Tyrian warriors resist from rooftops, hurling stones and spears in defiance. The last stand of the proud. The defenders are overwhelmed. Macedonian banners rise above the smoking ruins of Tyre. Smoke and fire drift above ruined streets. Broken walls glow red. Shadows of captives march under guard. Captives move through rubble, bound in silence, while behind them the scar of the causeway dominates the horizon. From the sky, the causeway stretches into the sea, ending at ruined Tyre, a scar eternal upon the waves. The army marches south along scorched earth, sun blazing overhead, dust plumes trailing behind. A river of men swallowed by desert heat. Broken temples and toppled statues line the path, Egyptians bowing low as Macedonian banners pass through lands scarred by Persian rule. Gates swing open with groaning wood. Crowds kneel with offerings, their submission not of fear, but of hope for liberation. In Memphis, torches blaze as a golden crown descends, incense rising, and Alexander is crowned pharaoh in solemn ritual. A chariot rolls through streets, priests march with staffs, lotus petals scatter as drums thunder in sacred rhythm. Colossal statues of pharaohs tower in silence, carved eyes gazing down upon the new ruler with eternal weight. On a Mediterranean shoreline, chalk and stakes mark the vast foundations of a city destined to outlast its creator. Workers swarm, stone blocks hauled, scaffolds rise, harbors carved from the coast. A metropolis begins to breathe in dust and sweat. Flickering firelight illuminates sketches of a lighthouse and library, symbols of ambition that stretch beyond centuries. Masons carve Alexandria into stone as sunlight flares, a name destined to echo across the ages. The army vanishes into golden dunes, a thin line swallowed by endless desert, marching toward unseen destiny. Soldiers stumble under the scorching sun, heat shimmering off bronze helmets, each step a trial by fire. Waterskins lie empty in sand. Men collapse on blistering ground, their resolve tested against the cruelty of the desert. A green jewel shimmers on the horizon. The oasis of Siwa glows amid an ocean of gold. Priests in white robes stand solemn before towering pylons, incense drifting skyward, guardians of an ancient oracle. Inside the sanctuary, torchlight flickers across sacred walls, silence weighing heavy as shadows stretch long. Priests lift golden emblems toward the sun, smoke rising in ritual arcs, summoning voices of gods eternal. A golden disk is raised high, sunlight gleaming across Alexander's armor. The scene charged with divine radiance. Macedonian ranks kneel in awe, spears lowered, the desert filled with the sound of devotion. Stonemasons carve his image beside pharaohs, chisels striking rhythm into eternity's wall of kings. Priests bow and people stretch arms with offerings. smoke drifting over the Nile in reverent waves. His crown glints in shadow, gaze sharpened with cold ambition, hidden beneath divine ceremony. The Nile winds through fertile fields. Ships glide heavy with grain, the wealth of Egypt secured. At sunset, he stands atop dunes, eyes fixed eastward, where Persia still gathers armies beyond the horizon. Stars glimmer above desert skies, the vision clear. In Egypt, he became more than man, yet destiny awaits at Gaugamela. Alexander's army marches east across dusty plains, banners whipping in desert wind, destiny pulling them toward Persia's heart. Endless Persian ranks stretch across the horizon. Cavalry in armor, infantry dense as stone, elephants towering like living walls. The plain of Gaugamela lies open, dawn light creeping over the field chosen for empire's fate. Darius stands upon a gilded chariot, jewels flashing, the ruler of millions ready for war. Alexander rides Bucephalus, white plume gleaming, calm resolve shaping every breath before the storm. Two armies face each other, one a sea of numbers, the other steel hardened by years of victory. Trumpets blare across the battlefield, banners snap, war drums signal the beginning of destiny. Scythed chariots thunder forward, wheels spinning like blades of death tearing across the plain. Macedonian phalanx parts with precision, lanes open, and the deadly charge is swallowed whole. Chariots splinter against the lines. Wheels shatter, shields crash. Chaos swallows drivers in dust. Cavalry collides in a storm of dust and blood, the earth quaking beneath pounding hooves. Arrows blot out the sun, a dark rain descending across the plain in deadly silence. Swords clash, shields splinter, warriors locked in brutal struggle, dust rising with every strike. Amid chaos, Alexander scans the lines, his eyes fixed on weakness in the Persian wall. Overhead, the Persian line stretches too thin, a gap opening between the wings of the host. Alexander signals the charge. His wedge of cavalry pivots like a blade seeking its mark. With lances lowered, the companions storm forward, white plume blazing. The wedge cuts the air. Macedonian horsemen carve deep through Persian ranks, dust swirling, pushing relentlessly toward the gilded chariot. Darius grips his reins, eyes wide with fear, the shadow of destiny closing upon him. The King of Kings turns his chariot, dust and panic marking his desperate retreat. The Persian host collapses. Soldiers trample one another, throwing down arms in frenzied flight. Abandoned chariots, broken shields, and scattered spears litter the field in the aftermath of terror. As the sun sets, vultures circle above a field of ruin, empire's wreckage left behind. Alexander raises his lance skyward, his cavalry roar in triumph. Dust glowing in fading light, darkness falls with stars above, words etched in memory. Persia has fallen, Alexander is Lord of the East. Alexander's army marches deeper into Persia, columns winding like a living river. Dust swirls behind them, veiling the horizon in gold. Babylon surrenders without a fight, colossal gates opening wide. Torchlight floods the city as it bows to the conqueror. At Susa, centuries of treasure pour forth in glittering heaps. Wagons groan beneath gold, silver, and jeweled thrones. Through rugged mountain roads, Persepolis emerges above the valley. Its terraces gleam in sunlight, a crown of stone and pride. Grand stairways rise before the invaders, carved with endless tribute bearers. Each step whispers of empires long subdued. Walls shimmer with inlaid gems, scattering beams of fire. Even battle-hardened soldiers pause in awe at such splendor. Yet awe twists to bitterness, Greeks recalling temples once burned. Persepolis becomes vengeance carved in marble and stone. In the palace, Alexander claims Darius's gilded throne. A Macedonian youth now rules in the seat of kings. Silence fills the vast chamber, torches crackling overhead. Conquest feels absolute, yet unease lingers in the air. Banquet halls erupt in revelry, wine spilling and music rising. Torches blaze as soldiers raise their cups in triumph. Golden vessels tumble to marble floors, shadows leaping high. Pride swells reckless as firelight dances across the hall. A torch is lifted in frenzy, flames dazzling drunken eyes. Energy surges through the crowd like a storm breaking loose. Draperies ignite in an instant, fire curling upward. Smoke thickens as sparks leap from column to column. Columns blaze like burning giants, the night sky glowing red.
Victory!
Persepolis begins to dissolve into smoke and flame. Greek soldiers stagger in firelight, armor glowing molten. Madness and triumph blur together in chaotic dance. Gold melts into streams across stone, sparks raining down. Persia's wealth collapses into ruin before their eyes. Roofs groan and crash, flames roaring like thunder.
The city is burning.
The palace trembles as if the gods themselves struck. Outside the shattered gates, citizens gather in terror. Mothers clutch children as towers burn behind them. From above, Persepolis blazes like a sea of flame. Smoke spirals into the night, devouring the stars. At dawn, ruins stretch across the horizon in silence. Pale smoke drifts slowly from shattered walls. Alexander stands among ashes, his eyes fixed on ruin. The torch is gone, but its scar will endure. His gaze remains unreadable, regret or cold pride. History itself cannot decide which truth remains. Charred columns stand as black monuments of grief. They rise eternal against the morning sky. Greeks proclaim vengeance fulfilled. Persians weep for desecration. Two truths carved forever into the ruins. Embers drift into darkness, fading into memory. Persepolis survives only as fire scar on history. From the ashes of Persepolis, the Macedonian phalanx pushes east, crimson cloaks trailing over scorched earth. The companion cavalry charge across dusty plains, Xystan lances glinting as they chase the shadow of Darius. Jagged peaks of Bactria loom above, rivers slicing valleys as Greek ranks crawl through the mountains like bronze serpents. Arrows rain from unseen cliffs, echoing screams as phalangites brace their sarissas in desperate defense. In the night, raiders torch the Macedonian camp. Tents collapse as hoplites rally to shield their brothers. Tribes vanish into fog after a lightning strike, leaving Greek skirmishers chasing ghosts in the dust. Alexander climbs with his companions, banners whipping as they storm fortresses clinging to impossible cliffs. Frost hardens on bronze cuirasses, cracked lips and weary eyes tell of hunger on the endless march. Around dying embers, Alexander shares bread with hoplites, their shadows long against the frozen ground. Thessalian cavalry wheel in circles, their javelins slicing the sky while dust clouds swallow horse and rider. Torchlight flickers over tense generals, whispers of betrayal weaving shadows across bronze faces. A sword falls swift and final. Philotas crumples in silence as judgment echoes through the ranks. Parmenion, the veteran, dies by torchlight. Loyalty extinguished in the gloom of suspicion. Macedonian files march tight, eyes downcast, each step heavy with fear and enforced loyalty. Roxana appears amid the mountains, unveiled by sunlight. Hoplites pause as if struck by vision. Hands entwine in solemn rites. Flowers crown the couple while banners rise in the cold wind. Macedonian officers and Sogdian nobles feast together uneasily. steel helmets glimmering by the fire. Exhausted hoplites collapse roadside, bronze shields slipping from their blistered hands.
Are we
At
truly
night,
ready for this
whispers
fight?
drift over campfires.
I have my
Doubt
doubts.
spread like smoke through restless phalangites. Alexander stands on a ridge, cloak snapping beneath constellations, Bucephalus stamping in silence. Macedonian banners crest a fortress wall. Defenders scattered as steel and fire consume the stronghold. Prisoners kneel in rows, arrows fly on command. Silence falls where mercy does not exist. New garrisons rise in conquered valleys. Macedonian banners mark the submission of tribes. Alexander circles maps under torchlight. Soldiers murmur in shadows. Flames crackle in tense silence. At dawn, the phalanx crests the desert ridge. Bronze and crimson glowing against an endless horizon.